Welcome, dear listener, and welcome to these beautiful, incredible, successful, inspiring women. I'm Jordana Green, and you are listening to our second annual Women's Roundtable. I am joined by all of the stars, the female stars of WCCO Radio, Vineeta Sakar, Sheletta Brundage, Susie Jones, and Laura Oakes. Hey, girls.
Hey.
Hi.
I can say girls to you, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
please do. Please. Yes.
Yeah. So we've all picked a topic that we wanted to discuss today with our girlfriends, with you, and I'm going to start. And I picked something that we talk about on our show a lot, mine and Adam's show, is student loan debt. This, of course, is near and dear to my heart because my oldest is in college. My second guy is going, next year. And then I have a third on the way. God knows I'm going to be in the poorhouse about that. But the thing we talk about on our show a lot, which always surprises me, is that there may be student loan forgiveness of up to $20,000 from the Biden administration. And I think that's great. And here's not because I'm going to benefit, because I won't benefit. I don't qualify. I feel lucky enough that we don't qualify for that. But I think it should be forgiven because these kids are just saddled in debt. I know people that are in their 40s that are still paying off debt, that are struggling to, pay their mortgages and haven't taken a vacation with their family yet, even though they have small kids. Mm-hmm. So when I hear the argument, I always hear you guys is, well, that's not fair. That's not fair that, I didn't get my debt paid off or they didn't pay my kids' debt. So it's not fair. And I think life isn't fair. And if somebody can get a better leg up, can have a benefit, it doesn't hurt me, then I think that it should happen. Am I naive or too Pollyanna or what do you guys think about all that?
I don't understand the people that are against it. I mean, why wouldn't you want to give the next generation a leg up so they're not choking on debt, so they can get on with their lives, they can afford an apartment or a home or something, even with their first job that won't, pay as much as they're hoping for eventually, but why saddle them with something that isn't necessary if there's an opportunity to let it go?
Right. I agree.
And you know what I'm hearing from so many young people now as I'm, doing a lot of mentoring and just in and out of high school with my son being a junior at Park and in Cottage Grove. These young people are saying, I don't want to go to college because I don't want the debt. Right. So they've heard the horror stories. And if you have an opportunity to let these young people know that they don't have to deal with something like that, it may be the decision, help them make a decision about whether or not they're going to go to college or whether or not they're going to, just kind of work in trades or just get a job right after high school.
Right. And so, I talked a lot about this with my kids too, is that when we went to college, I mean, I'm older than all of you by a long shot.
No
way older than 100. But my mom used to write a check and she would hand it to me and I would see it in the registrar's office at the University of Minnesota. And it was like, I don't know, like $225 a quarter. I mean, it was just ridiculously small amount of money, and I'm constantly amazed at and it's grown so much. My son went to Drake and it was $40,000, and now I hear schools like Luther are $60,000, and it's like, my God, that's insurmountable. And it also forces a lot of people coming out of college to not do what they love, but just do whatever to make that payment,
Right. So true.
In my life before WCCO, I was at the University of St. Thomas. I was a public relations director, and I saw firsthand how scholarships made a difference for these kids. And when I think of how, even at St. Thomas, how they really tried to diversify the class, bring in first generation students, the biggest barrier is the debt that these students will incur. So just to think that they would have these loans forgiven is such, it opens a whole new world for these students who are just excited to be a part of something that they didn't think they'd get to be a part of and get the kind of education that they didn't think that was attainable. And I too am just troubled sometimes when I look at our text line for many reasons, but specifically on this issue, I'm like, how can you, it's like saying, I have a sickness or something and eventually they'll find a cure for it. Why would you not want to then treat people? I mean, I just don't understand.
It's the tone of the country, though. I mean, we are in a country now where, doing right for the good of humanity is no longer an option. People are worried about themselves. They're worried about their families. And if they can benefit from it, that's great. And, if somebody else doesn't get it, God bless them. Nobody is willing to make a sacrifice for their neighbor or their friends, even. And so that's just, that kind of echoes the tone that, a lot of us are experiencing right now in this country is, I don't want you to have it because I didn't get it and I don't care if it's fair or unfair. It didn't benefit me, so it should not benefit you.
Strange.
That's what troubles me the most.
That is.
Yeah, that's it. You hit the nail on the head, Sheletta. And that's kind of why I brought this up. We know student debt is a problem. The universities have to lower their prices. A lot needs to happen, but it's that is most troubling for me when we have these conversations, the idea that it's not fair. Girls, we all know life isn't fair. We've all had our struggles. Life is not fair. So, thank you. I think you really articulated that really well.
Well, and this is the thing too, ladies, is that it's not fair for the majority. And they're not used to it being not fair. As women, we're talking women now. We're used to it being not fair. We're used to getting passed over. We're used to not getting the spotlight when we should have it. We're used to not getting the opportunities that we should have. So we are accustomed to playing in a not fair world. And so now the majority is having to deal with something that looks unfair to them, and they don't know how to deal with it. We got a whole lifetime of dealing with not fair. So we know how to play the not fair game. Not fair is new to them, and they don't know how to handle it.
Right.
Really good point. Really good point. Thank you. So I'm not crazy. I needed that. Let's move on to Laura. We each got to pick a topic, so let's go around the table.
Yeah.
Laura,
so my topic, this is going to make me sound like a self-help queen, but I have read, probably 3 really, really helpful books in the last 6 months. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've learned in one of them. But let me start with, one of them is called Atomic Habits, which is just a fabulous way if you find yourself, always with these goals that you want to accomplish, and then you find yourself in the same spot a year later, not accomplishing your goals. Why not? And what are the little tiny changes we can make within our thinking and within our days to stay on track with some healthy habits? That's one of them. The other one is a book by Dr. Henry Emmons called The Chemistry of Joy, where he's an expert. He's actually a local doctor. He practices down in Northfield, but he combines Western medicine, Western psychiatry, with Eastern spiritual type teachings and Ayurvedic learnings. And it's so interesting to kind of figure out through his book what your type is. And my Ayurvedic type, which is what I'm going to talk about in a minute, is so spot on for me. And one of the characteristics of it is something I think we can all relate to. And that is this notion of constantly striving. Even if we're successful, imagine our life.
Excuse me while I fall out.
Yeah, that's right.
That is so
it's this
spot on.
constant striving and grasping. For what? Is it for likes on social media? Or is it for, in my case, in the past year or so, as I've been working on my music and trying to get to know people in the local music scene, I don't need to grasp and strive to meet every single musician and hope that I can be friends with them. What makes us strive and grasp for things and not just be okay with ourselves as we are? So I've been working on that a lot. How about you guys? Do you find yourself with the grasping and the striving?
Sheletta had something to say right away.
I'm deceased right now. You can eulogize me and somebody make a potato salad and tell my kids I love them. Girl, you have slapped me all in the face. Because I think, you think there's something better. There's something more. It's got to be more. And there's a constant grind. And, my whole family is running on this hamster wheel with me. So it's not just even me striving. It's my kids. And I look around, girl, and we are free freaking exhausted because we're trying. And, you know, for me, I don't want to miss out on an opportunity. If I'm not on social media, is there something going on and I need to be in the middle of it? If there's an event, should I be there because there may be a new business connection?
Right.
You know, April is coming up. It's Autism Awareness Month. Me and my kids are double booked for every freaking event. And do we have to be there? Do we need to be there? Probably not, but I'm afraid I'm gonna miss something. So I'm always looking for an opportunity to make it better for me, for my family, for my children. And, you know, when does it end? Do we do that to the grave? I mean, I don't know. What the hell does the book say?
The book will teach you just to take a step back, take care of yourself, not, you know, try to break that habit of needing other people's approval for things. And it is mind-blowingly liberating once you kind of start feeling that. And I'm getting there slowly but surely. And I've never felt happier or more relaxed in my life because I've just let go of some of this crap. And it's great. And it's wonderful. Yeah. And I'm not totally checking out, you know, but I have dropped off much of the social media that I was doing.
I noticed you ain't on. I was like, Laura has not liked any of my posts. She's not
sorry. Doesn't mean I don't like it. I'm just not seeing so much these days. And I feel like I have released just tons of clutter and nonsense from my brain because I'm just focusing on being in the now, doing what I need to do at my job or with my family or with my health or whatever. And it's working. I don't know. It's working. Maybe it's not for everybody, but that's what I've been going through.
I was going to add that Laura and I have the benefit of each other's friendship, and that oftentimes, I mean, we're all friends, but we sit next to each other at most afternoons, and we will check in. We will say, how's it going? And if one of us maybe hasn't slept well, or if it's me and I have something with one of my kids that I'm struggling with, we kind of come together and we really do calm. I feel quite calmed after we have one of our mini chat sessions.
Me too. It's really nice and helpful.
Yeah, we get stuff done, but there's also kind of a reassurance, I think, in checking in with somebody to say, where are we? What's happening? What do we need to do? There's a saying in the program that I'm quite involved in, Alcoholics Anonymous, just do the next right thing. And whether that's brushing your teeth, whether that's finishing a story, whether that's taking the garbage out, it's just keep it simple. You know, the old frame, keep it simple, stupid. You know, when you're all up here in your head, that's a scary place to be.
Sometimes it is. Yeah, for sure.
So, I just wanted to share how valuable you are to me, Laura, as a friend in work. So
likewise, thank
you. And that stress, that stress will kill you. Right. I just, 51 came and knocked on the door and said, sit down, sit down. 51 said, sit all the way down, girl. And then the blood pressure went all the way up. And I'm like, why am I tingling? Why is the side of my face twitching? And blood pressure is through the roof. And it's because you're constantly striving, you're constantly looking, you're constantly trying to be everywhere all at the same time. But, I don't know, Vineeta, when do you sit down and when do you take a break? And how do you know
you're not
miss out on an opportunity? Because then you're lazy. Well, she didn't show up. Well, why isn't she here? And, we were on vacation, Vineeta, and 2 people tried to fly me back from vacation for events. And I almost did it. I didn't, but I almost did because I didn't want to miss out on an opportunity. Striving, like Laura said.
Well, you are your own boss. I mean, you as an entrepreneur, there's got to be a lot more pressure than those of us who have a full-time gig, regular pay, paid vacation. I mean, that's got to be so much more challenging. I think that's what's kept me from being an entrepreneur. I've always thought, what would it be like? But I think it takes a lot more chutzpah than I will ever have. Maybe someday. Maybe
Good
someday.
Word. Good word, Vineeta, right?
For me, so I'm 55. And when I turned 50, I really got kind of an attitude like, I really don't care what people think of me. And I really do live by it. And I think for me, it goes back to those COVID years when I was shut down, when we were all shut down and I'm a big extrovert and I have just connections with people. And I have to be out and about and I have to connect with people. And when we were shut down like that as a society, that killed me. And so now I just have this freer attitude that if someone doesn't like me, then I'll find someone else who does. You know, it doesn't really matter to me. It's more of a them problem than a my problem.
Yeah.
And, you know, I try to be good to people, but it doesn't really weight me down as much as it did when I was younger. I think I cared about it more. It's hard in this business because there will be people that like you on the radio and there will be people who don't like you on the radio.
Yeah.
But I think now that, you know, once you've been fired from a job like I have in television, you develop a little bit of a thicker skin. Like you're not afraid of it anymore.
Right.
But you know what I mean? If you've been through it before. So that's kind of my attitude. I just, some days are harder than others, and friendships, like you said, Susie, they make a world of difference. I have a great network of friends in St. Paul, just wonderful. And so I love them and it's great. I really lean on them. So that keeps me happy.
I like what you said about not really caring about what people think anymore. That is so liberating when you just, you know, you find your tribe and you don't worry about having superficial, stupid relationships that waste your time. You focus on the people that are, you know, the most important ones in your life and who you love and who you have things in common with and who bring something to your life, but you also have a reciprocal relationship where, you know, you make them better, they make you better. And if someone's not doing that, it's like, what's the point at this age? I'm 55 too, and I've had a lifetime of friends that come and go, the ones that stick with you forever. And when you start to realize that there is a difference in just how you feel around them and the importance that they bring to your life, it's a good feeling to just kind of focus on what matters with friends too.
Right. I find they make for better shows, girls, by the way.
Yeah.
If you don't care what anybody thinks, you know, and you truly, you know, you're more free to say on the air to, you know, hundreds of thousands of listeners, God willing, your truth. And you're right. Not everybody's going to like it. Most people are probably not going to like it, but it is very freeing and it's more authentic. People can tell. And I'll tell you, illness will do that to you. Real fast.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You know, when you're looking down the nose of your demise, it really puts things in perspective as what's important. And no, I don't have to go to this event or this is where I want to spend the limited energy that I have. Right?
Yep.
Age and illness for sure.
Oh God, yeah.
To you. And I guess if you can, I don't know, girls, are we grateful for cancer? No, cancer blows, but it is a lesson learned.
For sure. Well, I don't want to hog up all of the time with my topic. Let's move on to the next extravaganza that is Sheletta Brundage. What's yours, girl?
Well, you know what? I told him I didn't really need no topic. He asked for topic. I said, I just want to hang out with my girlfriends. I just want to be here with, you know, you all and talk and do what it is that we do best, which is love on each other. Because I really, you know, appreciate at this age and stage in my life the value of support, you know, that I can call Jordana until I have a good idea, or that I can get some, you know, auntie love from Vineeta, or that Susie and I can laugh and joke, or the Lord can give me some parenting advice. I just really want to be around other women. I really want to smell the scent of femininity and be in a room with like-minded women who are experiencing the things that I'm experiencing. I don't have a damn topic. I just want to be in the room with the ladies that I love, because that's where we get our strength from. And I don't know what person, you know, ever taught us that we were competitors or that we had to be better than each other. You know, for years, I think the tide is turning with these young girls. They're not doing that. Nobody's telling them that. We're teaching them the right way. But somebody taught us, especially in news, that, you know, you can't have a baby because if you go out on maternity leave, somebody's going to get your spot. Or you can't go on vacation because if somebody there's breaking news and something happens, somebody's going to do a better job than you. You're going to come back and you're going to be going from mornings to, you know, afternoons and night times. And so, you know, we always looked at the next newest, youngest woman as, you know, somebody who was a threat. And now I realize that, you know, this is my sister. We're in this thing together and we're locking arms. And I just hate it took 51 years for me to realize it. I hate that because I think about all the wonderful relationships that I could have had with women in news. And I have some, but there could have been more had we not each other been looking at one another as competitors instead of comrades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Susie, you want to jump in?
Sure. Of course, I'm a news person, so they're like, get a topic. And I do think, because I'm quite open about my recovery. So I have been sober for a long time, since 1985. And a while back, I did a story on women and alcohol, because there was a study that was done that women are drinking more than men now. And that was sort of traditionally never true, that generally speaking, it was men that drank more. And now that was changes in society and women taking on more responsibility, they're drinking also. And the study was that not only was that the case, but it was also the case that women are differently affected than men drinking alcohol, and that women have more problems, health problems with their liver and their heart, etc. And a lot of it is about how we metabolize alcohol, how women metabolize alcohol differently than men metabolize alcohol, and that women have more blackouts than men. Some of these things are just kind of startling to me, the differences. And yet, as a society, there's kind of a jokey about wine, is that I know at a time there was mommy juice, that, a glass of wine, you make jokes about it. What do you do with this and that? And there's wine involved. And it's not funny because it's a terrible illness. Alcoholism is, and so is abusive drinking, because it really does serious damage to your body. And so I just really support women in kind of understanding that. My kids always say, "Oh, Ma, you think everybody's an alcoholic," which I don't. I really don't. I'm really clear that people, but it is out there, and it can, and you need to watch how much you put in your body. It is poison, alcohol is poison. It really does a number on your body, more so for women than men. But in recovery, I will say, talking about women, Sheletta, and to your point about topics and friendships, is that a lot of women in recovery in the beginning would come in and say, I hated women when I got here. I was afraid to have a relationship with a woman because I was afraid of that cattiness, that cutthroatness, that, you're going to take my man, or you're going to, kind of eyeing each other up. And what I have found, and many women have found in the program, are these amazing women friendships that go so deep, and they're so vulnerable, that so many of us come into the world with wounds that we don't share with each other, just little secrets, that bad things that have happened. And if you share them, they are lightened. They are not so heavy. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about that. It's just awareness of what we put in our body, how it affects us, and how important it is to reach out. I'm so open about my recovery, and they say in the program, it's attraction rather than promotion. And so that I am a person that lives authentically. I really do. That's my goal. My insides match my outsides. And so I appreciate this opportunity to share with you guys. I hope people listening feel comfortable. But if anyone ever asks me about the program and how recovery works and how much God has meant in my life, I have a higher power now that I have absolutely no doubt saved my life. And I don't mind saying it. I don't mind jumping up and down, because I am 100% sure that a miracle happened to me. 100%. And that's a gift. I'm on vacation. I don't know if you can tell I'm a little, a little freckle face. I went to a meeting last night in Marco Island. But I went there and I was just like, oh, my people. Oh, Laura talked about tribe, and I do think that whether it's church, whether it's synagogue, wherever your tribe is, whether it's right here, that having that place that, that's where I am today. And I really, I was thinking, oh, the ocean's right there. I can go outside, but I'll go after. So I love you all, and I appreciate all of you and your kindness, and that's what I want to share about this group.
Love your honesty and sharing it. And I interviewed you during Dry January, which you were very good about sharing this similar perspective, which you were sharing now. But I told you, because I do Dry January every January. It's the third one I've done. And I was surprised every January how people will say, oh, okay, when you're done with Dry January, let's get together in February. And I'm like, am I not as fun if I don't have a cocktail, or what is the deal? Like, why is this such a big deal? And I thought, and you and I chatted about that. I'm like, I can still be fun with a Diet Coke or whatever, but there's this societal pressure that you can only go out for a drink, or what's wrong? Why are you not having a drink? And it used to be when we were younger, are you pregnant? That's what the big thing was at the time. And now that's not a worry, but it's that kind of thing where now I push back, and I actually, because of this third Dry January I've cut back on alcohol. I mean, I still have cocktails on the weekend, maybe occasionally during the week, but pretty rare. It's now I've cut back and I feel great. And I just do think you have to kind of conquer that pressure around you that what's wrong? Why are you not having a drink?
Right.
Susie, did you feel as a woman being open about your sobriety affected you at work or opportunities or really anything in your life? Did it, and is it looked at differently between women and men?
I don't think I've ever felt any negative repercussion from being open about my recovery in my life.
Good.
I do think, though, that women are viewed differently than men when it comes to alcoholics. I just think, and maybe not as much now, but certainly early days, women was sort of unheard of. I mean, that's why Al-Anon started, Dr. Bill and the wife and in the kitchen with the women. But obviously it's evolved quite a bit from then. But I just don't care. Back to Laura's point about, because some people are very private. Some people are very private. And that's the anonymous piece, that maybe they are afraid they'll lose their job. Maybe they need to have that anonymity. But not me.
I just appreciate you being so open with everything because, a lot of times we're scared of what people will say, how they will feel about us. We're scared that we will miss out on opportunities or that people will judge us. As women, we're mothers too. And we are wives or, granddaughters and daughters. And so, we just don't want the other mothers at the school. Or the neighbor across the street, or, the person who checks us out at the grocery store to be wondering. And so the fact that you have stepped out and are so brave to share your story is just, you just never know how many women and men that you're going to be helping. Because, they want us to, we see this image of, the woman who does everything, put the cape on. She's able to get the kids to school. She's able to work. She's able to keep the house clean. She's able to cook. She's able to, volunteer at her church or synagogue. She's able to go out and do community stuff. And she's planting flowers and she got a hobby and she's, relaxing. And hell, if she going to be able to do all that and still smile, she going to have a drink. Because it's not possible. And so it's just, it's just the fact that, I think now, what COVID has done for all of us is allowed us to give ourselves and each other some grace. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be straight. The line's going to be a little crooked. The hair's going to be a little off. The clothes are going to not be as pressed as they need to be. And you may forget to brush your teeth. But you know what? It's not the end of the world. It's going to be okay.
Right.
And, I just appreciate you coming out and talking about that because, during COVID, we all did what we had to do to try to make it through. Some of us did start drinking a little bit more, eating a little bit more, watching a little bit too much TV, spending a little too much time on the phone, whatever it was. And now that we're coming out of the pandemic, we're having to learn how to readjust to life. And some of us are holding on to some of those old, bad habits. And some of those habits are, Susie, drinking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to run out of time before Vineeta gets her opportunity to jump in. Yeah.
I just wanted to pipe in. I guess we're all 50 and over. You barely, Sheletta.
I just turned 60. Remember, I
know, which just shocks me. I don't see it at all. I
feel 17.
I know, and you act it too.
So her language in the newsroom sometimes is like a 18-year-old boy. I would say.
It's so true. My thing is, I've just noticed, because as I said, I'm 55. The people around me, the women around me, once we hit 50, and luckily we're in a business where we get attention, we're out there, we're mixing up, with a lot of newsmakers, things like that. But there's a lot of women our age who feel forgotten, ignored, and not considered at all. It's like they don't matter anymore. And I hear that, I feel that, and it just makes me sad because I think women our age have a lot to give to the world. We have experience. Yes, we're, we have grown children, most of us, some are still raising younger children. But I just get sad when I think there's just a lot for women our age to offer. And sometimes we're not considered for things that it's, what did Don Lemon say? She's past her prime, that is a real, and I know Jordana, you talked about it on your show. I mean, that hits you in the gut, it's just kind of like, what do you mean past our prime? We're just getting going here. And I hope women realize that you have a lot to offer and that you shouldn't feel like when you walk into a room that people don't care about what you have to say just because you're 50. And I hope people go away understanding that we bring a lot to the table.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
I think you're right. I don't know when Don Lemon says that, what's he looking for? How old should you be to be in your prime? Because I don't think it's relevant anymore. I think age really is just a number these days, and that's how it is.
Right. I really believe that I wouldn't go back to 41. I wouldn't go back to 31. I wouldn't go back to 21. 51, I feel like I got the wisdom and maturity I need and understanding of my gifting to do what it is that God designed me to do when I was born. And I was just so young and dumb, but I don't know, Jordana, it's horrible the way that, and this only happens to women, is our age and experience count against us. If a man goes into an opportunity, they say, well, he's got 30 years experience and he's seasoned and he's a veteran and, he's older, so he'll bring some stability. But if a woman goes in with the same age and same years of experience, somehow we are a liability. And you are absolutely right, Vineeta. They are always willing to replace us with younger and thinner and half the price. And it's sad that sometimes I've seen women our age dumb down their experience when they're going, for opportunities because they don't want to seem too smart or like they're too old, or, you may be able to add up their experience and figure out their age. And men don't have to do that.
No.
Don't you feel too that I just feel like when I turned 50, I just felt like I had some knowledge and some wisdom about myself. If I went back to the shows, I started here 10 years ago. And if I went back to some of those first shows that I did, I would cringe and be like, God, I was an idiot. What was I saying? Thinking anyone wanted to listen to that, and not that you can't be a super smart 40-year-old or 35-year-old. Of course you can. But I think it goes hand in hand with us also not caring. So not only do we have more important and wiser things to say now, we should say them out loud because we care less about what everybody's reaction to that is going to be. And I just feel like I'm so much smarter than I used to be. And I'm no genius, but God, I look back at 35 and I was thinking to myself, I didn't know anything. Right? How do they give us these babies to take home and raise them? We don't know.
Exactly. I know.
Even early on in our marriages, we don't know, Laura, just to your point, exactly. You're doing like a lot of self-help learning. I feel like I've been doing therapy with Oprah for the last 30 years and I'm still listening to those podcasts,
Right.
From the aughts. So I just feel like now, and that's unfortunate, anybody who is counting us out, because we are so much smarter now.
Yep.
And we add so much value.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think of some of the things that we come up with, that we create in our 50s from all these years of experience that would benefit somebody's company or initiative or programming. Folks are like, you on fire. That's because I'm 50. I'm on fire because I'm 50. I've learned what does and does not work. And, instead of folks taking that value or that experience or that intellect or the brilliance that we have and using it, they discard it. And that's why, Vineeta, I'm an entrepreneur, because I understand how brilliant my own damn ideas are. Nobody else does. So I'll just make all the money myself. But, it's sad that, women are, the fastest growing number of business owners in the country, especially women of color. It's because they are undervalued and underpaid and can't use their ideas and brain matters at the company that they're working for. So they step out on faith and create their own opportunities.
Amen.
Beautiful. Well said. Anything else? Anyone want to add anything? Anyone want to throw anything in there before we go?
This is just fun. We should do this once a week or something.
We should.
Solving the world's problems. What do you think?
There you go.
It is
Thanks,
fun.
guys.
Well, girls, it was wonderful. Ladies, women, whatever. I can call you girls because you're my friends and no one's getting offended by that. That's another thing we have with age. We're not offended anymore. Get over it.
No.
It was wonderful just seeing all your faces and all being together and hearing your insights. I love chatting with you guys. And thank you so much for joining the Women's History Roundtable.
This was great. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thank you to all the listeners who are listening. Okay. Hopefully we'll see you before next year at Women's History Month. You're right. We might be making it a regular thing. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.